BBC Radio Cornwall.
12 minutes to 8 now. Cyclists from Trispen and St Erme are campaigning for a proper bike lane into Truro. The lobby group Cycleway A39 say they want to cycle safely to work in the city, and a dedicated lane would also reduce traffic and create a better environment. Now, they've done a survey of people living in the area and discovered that many don't use their bikes because they think that stretch of the A39 is simply too dangerous. Well, BBC Radio Cornwall's Chloe Lyme went to a Cycle Awareness Day in Trispen to speak to people living there and a member of Cycleway A39.
The A39 from Trispen into Truro is an extremely busy road, and any cyclist who dares risks their life for a healthier commute. Ben Rosewell has been campaigning with the group Cycleway A39 to raise awareness for a safer route.
We've asked the local community. The majority of people ride bikes and a whole variety of different ages, but the cycle provision just isn't there, and it's just dangerous, to be honest. So we're looking to raise awareness and get something that's safe for people to ride.
After delivering a survey to local residents, Cycleway A39 has proven there is a need for this from the local community.
I mean, there's demands not just from commuters, but for people socially, for leisure, for fitness, just for fun, and for family bike rides. But the A39, this stretch of road is so narrow and so fast and so busy that it's ridiculously dangerous. And that's not just us saying it, that's the local community have evidenced that in our survey.
Local resident Richard Cornwall feels that Cornwall Council are not delivering their promise of increased commuter cycling after it successfully won the local Highway and Maintenance Challenge Fund application.
There is a existing cycleway from Trispen to the north to Carlin Cross, and it is excellent, and they have replaced and renewed signage on that, but the 6.5 million challenge fund bid, which is paying for the road to be redone, specifically states that their outcomes, and one of those is to increase commuter cycling, and we haven't seen any evidence of that.
If a cycleway was put into place on the A39 from Trispen to Truro, there would need to be some serious consideration about the route, says Ben.
It would need to be off-road, because that road is just too dangerous, and I think if you're riding alongside the traffic, then it just wouldn't be safe enough.
Drew and Suzanne from St Erme cycle to work in Truro every day, but they choose a safer, longer route.
It would change our lives. I do not exaggerate. If there was a decent cycle path all the way down into Truro, it is incredibly dangerous. We don't want to hold traffic up. We really don't. And we try our very best to get in, but it's very thin between here and Truro.
We invested in these electric bikes to enable us to go the long route. It's not the only reason, but as Drew said, we can't go down the A39. I do it once a year on Christmas Day because there's no traffic.
There is already work being done on the road, and has been for a while. Robert Trefui from St Erme Parish Council feels disappointed that a cycleway was not included in this.
We've got a lot of people commute from the parish to Truro for work. Obviously a busy time of the day with traffic, as it is most days, but certainly during the rush hour. And cycleway for the people that wish to cycle would certainly be a big advantage. We as a parish council were somewhat frustrated being the Eastern Park and Ride, Truro, with Waitrose and what have you. During the early stages in 2010, we as a parish council used to go along to the meetings discussing that, and on various meetings it was aired that there should be a cycleway out to Trispen, St Erme, along that route.
Simon Murray represents Sustrans, a sustainable transport charity.
When Richard and Ben approached us and the community approached Sustrans about developing a cycle route through to Truro, it makes obvious sense. It's within close commuting distance of Truro. A lot of people want to be able to cycle and walk, not only for commuter purposes, but for leisure and recreation as well. So, yeah, I was fully behind their idea. We've been making slow inroads into the council in terms of getting support. I think the council understands that St Erme want this route, but there's a long way to go.
Just some of the people our reporter Chloe Lyme met in Trispen and St Erme who are campaigning for that cycleway on the A39 stretch into Truro.
Let's talk more about this now with Mike Ethorne Gibbons, who's the local councillor for the area. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
Now, we heard one lady in that report say that it's so dangerous in that area that she only ever attempts to cycle along that stretch of road on Christmas Day because it's so quiet. I mean, why isn't there a cycleway already in the area or one planned for the future?
Lots of reasons. First of all, it's a practical one of finding a suitable route and talking to landowners. Secondly, it's the issue of money. Obviously, the route from Tresillian through to Truro was much easier, so that could be done. All I can say is I am pushing the officers to try and address both of those main issues.
Now, the group has actually argued that Cornwall Council hasn't kept its promise to build alternative commuter cycle routes into Truro. What do you say to that?
I'm not sure how definite the promise was. I know there was always intention to look at it, and it goes back a number of years. I'm very supportive of the Parish Council and others in pressing for this. So certainly I have been arguing with the officers for some time to try and get things sorted, but it is a slow process.
And what about you, Mike? I mean, would you attempt it? Would you cycle now on that stretch of the A39 into Truro?
No, absolutely not. By way of comparison, I'm actually opening the route from Tresillian to Truro tomorrow, and my colleagues from Probus and myself will be on a tandem, which promises to be very exciting indeed. But certainly in terms of coming down from Trispen to Truro, absolutely not. It is very dangerous, that current route. There's no way I would want to do it, no.
Well, could you ever see a cycleway being built along this particular route?
I shall be pushing very hard to try and get something done. There is a demand from local people, from Sustran and from the Parish Council for it to be done. As I say, there are real practical problems in dealing with the landowner and finding the monies to do it.
Mike Thorne-Gibbons, local councillor for the area that we're talking about there, A39, we're talking about the stretch into Truro in particular, and there's no cycleway there at the moment.
Look out for him tomorrow on his tandem.
Yes.
On the other cycle path that has been established out of Tresillian into Truro.
That's the one that Wendy Wheatley was saying that she's had a go at. That's quite steep.
It is, yeah, and I think that'd be quite difficult to cycle up that hill on a tandem. Depends which way they go. They may
depends whether you're on the front or the back.
Yes,
really, isn't it?
Indeed.
It'll be difficult if you're at the front.
Yeah,
whereas you can just coast if you're in the back seat.
Yeah, put your feet up.
Yeah.